of Mystery. Boosters.
Welcome, fellow travelers, to part 2 of my 24-part series, Tales of Mystery. Boosters. If you watched part 1, you already know I will be opening a pack of Magic the Gathering mystery boosters, and I'll be talking about each card. If you didn't watch part 1, you're always welcome to go back, but none of it has anything to do with this episode, unless I reference that I've seen a card already, I guess. In which case, I will tell you, in which case you don't... I mean, you could go back to, learn about the card. I might just skip a card and I'll still probably reference it a little bit, but probably go more in depth in other episodes, so, fun with repeats. At this point, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe down below, just so that way I know I'm not talking to myself. I currently play Draft and Commander, which are like the polar opposites of Magic. And I used to play kitchen table, 60 card kind of Magic back in the day. Often these are the formats I will talk about, but you never know. Should be fun. Are you ready? Here goes. Mystery pack. Part 1 was fun. I had a good time with it. Hopefully I'm over my internet jitters. We'll see. Here we go. First card. Now, the cards are going to be going in order through the colors. Then there's a colorless one, a multicolored one. I'll talk about them as they come along. But we're starting things off with white. And starting things off with Ninth Bridge Patrol. Ninth Bridge Patrol is a 1 and a white for a 1/1 creature dwarf soldier. Whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Ninth Bridge Patrol. This could potentially be a pretty powerful card if you're using a lot of flicker or blinking type of capabilities, if you're bouncing creatures back and forth. You could build this guy up pretty quickly. And for a while, I was running him in my God Eternal Oketra deck as just kind of a secondary thing to kind of draw attention away from Oketra herself. So that is a fun one right there. One is good with their weenies. So the second white card we have is Jubilant Mascot. This is from the Battle Bond set. It is 2 and a white. It's a 1/1 creature homunculus. It's a fun word. Homunculus. At the beginning of each combat on your side, or on your turn, you may pay 3 and a white. If you do, support 2. Now, to support means put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures. If it was support 3, it would be a 1/1 counter on of up to 3 other target creatures. Support's an interesting card mechanic because you need multiple other creatures in play for it to be worthwhile. On its own, it doesn't help itself, which can kind of suck. But if all your creatures have support, they're all helping each other, and that's why they call it support, obviously. Beginning of combat on your turn, pay 4, support 2. Could be interesting. I would be down for some +1/+1 shenanigans. Both of those white cards seem to be kind of contributing to the +1/+1 mechanic. Now, support I saw was last in Zendikar? I can't remember, but very fun. Very fun with all of those Eldrazi. We might see more Eldrazi's. We saw a little bit in the last episode. Next up, we have blue, and in blue, we have the card Gush. Gush is 4 and a blue for an instant. You may return 2 islands you control to their owner's hands rather than paying Gush's mana cost, and it's draw 2 cards. So you could return 2 islands and draw 2 cards for 1 card. That's 3 cards in your hand. That's a net profit of 3 cards in your hand. So if you're playing something like, I have a blue commander deck, it is Kefnet, the Mindful, and Kefnet is activated. All of the gods have like a certain prerequisite that you have to activate them so that they can attack or block. Otherwise, they just sit there with their static ability. And with Gush, you could use that with Kefnet, and you'd be netting yourself 3 cards in hand, pushing you up to 7 cards, so that way you can activate Kefnet. And that's actually not a bad idea. I might actually consider that. Kefnet decks are really all about drawing cards, and I'm not sure if Gush is in that deck, but it should be. Would be good. Next blue card, we have Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship is 2 blue for a 2/4 flying spirit. Blue, blue, blue is an activation ability to regenerate Ghost Ship. Now, this was reprinted in Commander 25, or, Masters 25. And it's from the Dark, which is going way back. It's a beautiful picture, too. It's kind of a soft painting of a ship in the clouds type of thing. Pretty neat. Regeneration isn't a common ability that you find in blue, and with that, a 2/4 flying in blue that can regenerate would be valuable in a lot of decks. So that's definitely something to think about with that. Let's move on to black, and with black we start off with a very powerful card, Dismember. Dismember is 1 black Phyrexian, and Phyrexian symbols say that it can be paid with a black symbol or 2 life. So you could pay 1 black and 2 life, or you could pay 1 and 4 life, or just 1 black. And this is target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn, which will kill most creatures. There's a lot of bigger creatures, especially in green and whatnot, that are bigger than 5. But when you have a -5/-5 onto something, that can take care of it most of the time. Usually commanders, which is kind of neat. And that is an instant, a very powerful instant. And I know that in other formats, like probably Modern, it's wickedly popular. So very neat. Moving on to the next black card, it is a classic card going back to the beginnings of Magic. It is Dark Ritual. For 1 black mana, it is an instant that adds 3 black mana. Black doesn't get a lot of ramps, so this is a very powerful card. In the early days of Magic, there was an instant spell that boosted something by 3. For black, it was Dark Ritual, which gave 3 black mana. For green, it was Giant Strength, or Giant Growth, that gave +3/+3. And the blue one, which they never reprinted because it gives you 3 cards for 1 mana, which is insane. But moving on, we are moving to red. And with red, we start off with Generator Servant. It is 1 in a red for a 2/1 elemental. Elementals are great. I'm thinking about building like a green, blue, red elemental tribal deck. I'm just trying to find the best commander for it. It is tap, sacrifice Generator Servant, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. It's pretty nifty. Pretty nifty indeed. This dates all the way back to M15, although it might have been around before that. It was a core set, so always fun. Always fun. Next red card is Chandra's Revolution. Chandra's Revolution states, Chandra's Revolution deals 4 damage to target creature, tap target land. That land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This is a sorcery for 3 and a red. So 4 damage for 4 mana is on par with a lot of things. Preferably we'd like, 2 damage for 1 mana, 3 damage for 1 mana. But the fact that you can tap down a land could be relevant. Most of the time, it's not. If you're playing against like a black deck that's got Cabal Coffers, you might be able to slow them down for a turn. If they are using a maze of Ith or some kind of thing like that, where if you can just force it to tap, that gives you the opportunity to attack in. Interesting. Would probably be better as an instant, personally. I would like it more as an instant, but it's a common, so that's what you get. Moving on to green. Green, we have Feral Prowler. This is 1 and a green for a 1/3 creature cat. When Feral Prowler dies, draw a card. It's not bad. For a sack return type of mechanic, an aristocrats mechanic. You usually find aristocrats in like a black or a black-white. But for a green, you could probably go Golgari and bounce this guy back and forth pretty good. Not bad in maybe a Muldrotha deck, but you need a sack outlet for it. All right, moving on to the next green card, we have a very popular one in the sideboard for draft. This is Clip Wings. It's a 1 and a green for an instant. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. Because this affects all opponents, this could potentially be a really good card to have in your commander deck. But unfortunately, it's just one creature with flying, and your opponents get to choose which creature. So if they have several creatures with flying, you're just going to get rid of one, and it's going to be the worst one. But if they all just have their commanders out that all have flying, this could be very useful early on. Late games might not find itself as beneficial. So, hate having dead cards in your hand. That's one of the trickiest things about commanders, because you want to have a solution for every contingency. But at the same time, if that contingency doesn't come up, you want to figure out a good way of utilizing that card some way else. Cycling is a great thing to have within your deck, just because if you don't end up needing to kill a creature with flying, you can cycle that card away. Let's move on to the colorless card. The colorless card is Join Shields. This is from the most recent Return to Ravnica, the Return to Ravnica. It is 3 green and white for an instant. Untap all creatures you control. They gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Wow. This is a great way of protecting from board wipes, from a variety of different steal mechanics, or damage dealt to a wide amount of things. I would definitely put this in a Selesnya deck. I just need to find the right deck for it. Interesting and uncommon. Alrighty, let's move on to the colorless card. The colorless card can be a land, it could be a card with Devoid, or it could be an artifact. And this one today is Guardians of Meletis. It is a 0/6 Golem with Defender for 3 mana. Guardians of Meletis. This is a lot of flavor. If you are a fan of the Meletis brothers and that commander type of pillow fort thing, you might throw this in here just for that. I actually have one of these running currently in my Arcades the Strategist Wall Defender deck. It's a 0/6 for 3. You can make that a 6/6 for 3 mana. That's just value right there. Moving on to the old card, the classic border, variety of other different things you can call that. It's Anna Sanctuary. This is an uncommon from Mercadian Masks. It says it's a 2 and a green for an enchantment, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a blue or black permanent, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If you control a blue permanent and a black permanent, that creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Whoo, Nelly. So if you're running a blue, black, green deck, you could potentially make one of your creatures. It doesn't even have to be blue or black. You just have to control a permanent that's blue and black. And you could give one of your creatures +5/+5 every turn. I'm surprised that these kind of cards aren't used more often. There was a lot of 3-color combination things and synergies going on back then, and we don't see a lot of those these days. So maybe it'll come back. You never know. Moving on to our rare. Our rare slot looks to be a mythic. Wow. This is Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite. It is 5 white for a legendary creature, Praetor. It is 4/7 with Vigilance. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. This is a game-breaking card. This is a card you put in every white deck that you have. if you have creatures. Even if you don't have creatures. This can be a very good commander, although for 7 mana it's extremely expensive, and having that in the command zone makes you a target. So it's usually best to have in the 99 in that regard. But it makes a really good commander too. 4/7 with vigilance in and of itself is pretty solid, especially when you're boosting and that's a 4-point swing on power and toughness. All your creatures are going to survive. All of your opponent's creatures are weaker. It's magnificent. Elish Norn. Can you believe that? And next up we've got our foil card. Now in the convention packs, this slot was for the test cards. I'm glad that they aren't using the test cards because you can't really use those. They're like fun. They're like silver bordered cards, uncards. But this one here is a legendary creature. It's a hound. It's a 2/2 for 1 white. It is Isamaru, Hound of Konda. And it is very pretty. I think I might actually put this in my Sisay commander deck. It's a legendary tribals deck, so he would be easy to fetch in using Sisay. It doesn't really help Sisay's ability because she's already white. But having a 2/2 on the board like that, that's a legendary creature. Could be fun. Could be fun. Well, that's all the cards. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had a great time. And we hope to see you back real soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And check us back out for part 3, which will be coming out very soon. Take it easy, and I'll see you soon.